Hey guys, Prominating Reaper here. So I'm outside the cinema Friday for once, what the hell? Yeah, and I've got the Marvel merch out here. So that means it's time for everybody's most anticipated, not just comic book movie of the year, just most anticipated film of the year in general. Yep, Madam Web, the latest masterpiece from the Sony universe of Marvel characters, following in the footsteps of Morbius. So yeah, can't wait to see this, peak cinema in all its glory. So I'm gonna head in, get my snacks, get my seat, and go see Madam Web. Yeah, I just can't contain my hype. Got my popcorn here and red fruits and Fanta, the colour of the hero they're trying to tie to but aren't allowed to mention. Ready to watch Madam Web. So yeah, Madam Web. This is of course the brand new installment in the Sony Pictures universe of Marvel characters, the Spider-Man adjacent cinematic universe where it features characters very closely linked to Spider-Man, but we can't show him or mention him because, well, Marvel Studios are doing their thing. We don't want to breach contract with Disney. But really what intrigued me about this film was how unbelievably terrible all of the marketing looked. Like seriously, this looks like some like a 2004 comic book movie that has somehow escaped through a wormhole and released today. Like, like I was fully bracing myself for an absolute train wreck here. But is the film as bad as its marketing material would suggest it would be? Well, let's find out. So, in the film, we meet New York paramedic Cassandra Webb. She lives all alone in her apartment with only a stray cat for company. One day, while on the job, she falls into the river and develops clairvoyant abilities. And with these newfound abilities, she sees into the future and sees three teenage girls, Julia Cornwall, Anya Corazon, and Maddie Franklin, all three of them being pursued by a mysterious man named Ezekiel Sims, who intends on killing them due to visions he has seen in his future. And so it's up to Cassandra to protect the three girls and also master her new ability if she is to have any chance of putting a stop to Ezekiel and his plans. So, yeah, look, there's been a lot of talk about this film, all of it negative, poo pooing the trailer and some really scathing negative reviews. And honestly, I gotta say, this is way better than I expected it to be. Like, it's very entertaining film all around. Got you know really compelling, interesting story. Some solidly made, entertaining action scenes and a likable cast of characters and some good performances. All delivering some very solid dialogue with some good funny moments throughout. That's what I would be saying if I was talking about any movie that isn't called Madam Web. Holy shit, this was so bad. Like, this thing sucks ass, and in every way, and I mean every way, this thing fails. It is just, I am at a loss at just how bad this film is. That I mean, I'm debating whether or not it is worse than Morbius, because Morbius was also terrible. But yeah, I mean, Rome got some absolutely fantastic writing here from the genius minds of the same Morbius screenwriters. Also worked on such gems as Gods of Egypt and The Last Witch Hunter. And yeah, that golden filmography shines through here. Like, this thing is genuinely might be one of the worst written screenplays I've seen in a long time. Holy hell! Like this thing barely establishes any kind of sense of internal logic whatsoever. Stuff kind of happens and plot developments occur, but none of it is ever like explained or given any kind of grounding in like the logic of the universe. So there's just you're left with more questions going out of the film than you did coming in. Like it's so bad. And it's a shame because there's a cool concept here with these like clairvoyant abilities, almost like Final Destination or Terminator in a way. With some ideas there about like fate and destiny. It's familiar stuff, but the ideas are there. It's just wasted on this god awful screenplay with basically no kind of like actual coherent structure or logic or even like actual half decent dialogue. My god, the dialogue here genuinely no one speaks like a real human being. Like it's so incredibly surface level. You know, it's either exposition dumps or surface level character trait stuff. A lot of it delivered through ADR, and my god, the ADR is so bad here. This is an $80 million movie, and the ADR here barely syncs up with. Like, you'll have characters saying stuff, or their mouths just not move altogether, and dialogue will still come out and just not match what's on screen at all. It is ridiculous. Like, especially in regards to Ezekiel Sims, the film's villain. He's not a very interesting villain, mind. He's just sort of like the generic, kind of grumbling, sort of vague villain dialogue. And my god, like his mouth will not even move, and yet there will still be dialogue, or he'll be like running across buildings, and he'll still be just doing this sort of like that slow, quiet sort of grumbling. Does not match what's on screen at all. Oh, but how are the rest of the characters, you ask? Oh, they're terrible as well. Like, I mean, there's some fairly talented actors here. Like, you got, like, Sydney Sweeney and Isabella Merced, among others. But they're kind of wasted on this really terrible dialogue. It also doesn't help that their characters don't exactly have much beyond, like, the surface level personality traits and some stuff about parent trauma or something. I don't know. So yeah, it's kind of hard to really get invested in any of them. Like there are emotional moments, but because the characters are so paper thin, it's hard to generate feel anything for what's happening. I mean, in saying that, Dakota Johnson does fairly decent as Madam Web herself. She does have some level of screen presence and is elevating the very weak material and a kind of unlikable character at first. Like, what is going on here? Like, this is a such a badly written film, but she does good with the weak material regardless, doing her best to elevate it. You also have the always charming Adam Scott bringing some fun, some charm as a young Uncle Ben. Yeah, they're really towing the line here in regards to the Spider-Man connections. My God. That aside, though, everyone else is fucking terrible. And I mean, visually as well, this thing is not great. Like cinematography wise, very flat and cheap looking. Always reminding me of a Spider-Man Lotus sequel. The editing is atrocious. You've got like anytime one of these like clairvoyant future vision sequences happens, it's so like utterly nonsensical. So bafflingly rapid cuts. Again, the early 2000s and in fact, sometimes when it happens, I'll not even notice that what's meant to be happening on screen hasn't happened yet. So it'll cut back and we'll see the thing we just witnessed happen. It's like, oh, that's what they're doing. What? They don't make any effort to kind of distinguish what's going on at all. It's ridiculous. Also, CGI wise, it's absolutely atrocious. some like really naff effects here throughout. It looks so bad. Like say what you will about Marvel Studios and their CGI, but this just looks so cheap and lazy. It's not the Flash level bad CGI, but it does look really terrible. Uh, the score here is pretty generic as well, I guess. I don't really remember anything about the score other than the guy that composed it worked on Let the Right One In. What happened here? Like, and it's all in service of a film that's set in 2003, and there's tons of edits made to reflect the period. It was originally meant to be set in the 90s, and yeah, I can sort of buy into it being set then because that's when it feels like it was made, and not in the holdover sense of where that had an incredibly meticulous level of attention to detail you could buy into the period setting. This just looks like, well, it's incredibly badly made, much and it very much reflects that era of comic book movies. So why am I not surprised it's set there? And I just want to kind of end this off by saying that that they do some interesting things in regards to Peter's Spider-Man suit. Like, there's some weird implications it sets up there, and I hope you like Pepsi product placement because there's a really hilariously blatant one here. Yeah, Madam Web, terrible film overall. But I think this might actually be worse than Morbius because this has elements of promise and it squanders them completely and just feels like even those fundamental aspects of filmmaking and storytelling just a complete disaster. It might be one of the worst comic book movies I've seen. Yeah. Overall, Madam Web gets a 2 out of 10. Yeah, the terrible movie. So yeah, let me know down in the comments. Have you seen Madam Web? What did you think of it? What did you make of the implications for Peter Parker? And do you think Sony should stop making these movies? Let me know all down in the comments. Don't forget the thumbs up button if you enjoyed. Don't forget the subscribe button if you're new, and don't forget to turn on post notifications so you don't miss an upload.